And good morning, Facebook. Good morning. Hi, good morning. Oh, yay. We already have a few people who are ready this morning. Happy Friday to you. I hope you had an amazing week. So, I really believe that Fridays are for celebration. So, there should be something on just this morning that you're able to kind of sit and reflect and say, you know what, this week has been really good because of this, right? There has to be something that you're grateful for. And with so many things happening around the world, I'm sure you can find at least one thing to be grateful for. And that gratitude will begin to just overwhelm your heart this morning. Even if everything else went wrong, it's okay, right? You can take a moment just to express gratitude, and it's going to change the dynamic of your day. So, good morning. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. So good to have a few of you already logging in. You are here and ready to go. Can you do me a favor and just let me know where you're logging in from? I would love to see that so that I can celebrate the fact that we are touching lives all over the world, all over the nation. So good morning again. My name is Brooke Ennius, and you're logged in, tuned into Womanhood Talk, which is just online, really inspiration and wisdom for women who are ready to live a life of purpose with clarity and really ready to make an impact with who you know you are to be. And that starts first, I believe, in private, and that translates over into public in a very beautiful way. And so I'm excited today to be able to share with you on the topic of being a responsible woman. And so, again, if you're logging in, just let me know where you are logging in from so I could say good morning to you. I'm in the beautiful Orlando, Florida area. You know, this past week was a little up and down with the storm, but gratefully, everything is A-okay here. And honestly, my sincere condolences to those who just really had some really tough past few days because of the storm. So my sincere condolences, and we are, my husband and I are praying for you, and we want to offer as much support. And I know I've reached out to quite a few of the people that we already know. Just really had a hit there, and we know that we are supporting you behind the scenes. So again, good morning, everybody. Again, this morning I'm talking on the topic of the responsible woman. And I chose this topic on purpose, and hopefully it kind of caught your eye. You said, what is she going to be talking about, right? The responsible woman. But I believe there are some great principles as you are planning for the remainder of this year and kind of getting ready for next year. It's about that time. Fall is here, and with the busyness of the holidays right on the horizon, things are going to get even more crazy. And so you want to make sure that now, for me personally, I've learned that now is the best time to sit, reflect, plan, and so that you can execute a beautiful life ahead and make sure that you are not behind the 8 ball, right? As the new year rolls around. It's too late to go ahead and plan New Year goals when the new year hits. Now is the best time for you to sit and reflect on really what's happening around you. Take an honest assessment. So again, good morning. Let me know where you're from. I am so happy that you decided to log in this morning. And so I'm going to jump right in. I'm going to share some really sound principles that will help you to live your best life. Good morning. Thank you so much for logging in, Ms. Eunice. And I'm so grateful again for each of you who will be logged in this morning. So listen, I've been able to, over the past couple of months, have just an amazing year. And it really came through some processing and some deep, I would say, honest assessment time and reflection on where I am and where it is I know that I am to go. And I am assured, you all, that there are a group of women who, there's only going to be a few, but there are a group of women who are ready and willing to live their best lives. And I believe that everybody has their own definition of what a best life looks like or what a best year looks like. But I am determined, you all, every year for it to be a best year yet for me. Can you agree with that? And so there's a couple of things I want to talk through again today that I think will help you to prepare for 2020 and really restore the joy of what this womanhood journey looks like. You know, oftentimes womanhood can be very hard for a lot of people, but it doesn't have to be if you have the right principles in your heart and in your mind. And so today I'm going to share some principles with you. Again, let me know where you're logging in from. And then I would love to talk with you. All right. All right. Hang on one second here. All right. So listen, there's a couple of things again I want to talk through. And the first one is number one, clear directions, y'all, are found in shadow talk. And there's the truth about this is life can be so busy. And I really feel like, with everything going on, no matter what type woman you are, you could be a woman who is in business. You could be a woman who is right now full-time employed. You could be a mom. You could be a single person, like across the board. Y'all, clear directions and what you're looking for in life will only be found what I call in shadow talk. So what I've learned is that whenever there's time for me to go to another level, and a lot of us, I think, are hitting glass ceilings because we haven't quite mastered where we are, right? So it feels like you're walking around in circles. I call it the hamster wheel of womanhood. You're just kind of going around in cycles, right? Every day it's like a rote routine. But y'all, if you want to get to another level, here's what I found. Whenever it's time for you to break through, it's time for you to pull away from the crowd. And clear directions are only found in shadow talk. So I got this from a scripture. It's very powerful. But it says that whoever dwells in the secret place of the Almighty dwells in his shadow. And so whenever you dwell in the shadow of God, what he does is he begins to talk to you. He begins to reveal the secrets of who you are and what is next for you as you are in literally his secret space. It doesn't happen in public. It won't happen with a crowd of people. It only happens whenever you are in intimacy with him. But whenever you're trying to break through, I'm telling you what I've known to be true is whenever it's time for me to segue, I can feel it already. But the way that I get the clear direction is when I pull away, right? So during this fall season, I want to encourage you to pull away. So there's power in reflection. And there's literally one minor tweak. Good morning, Ida. There's literally one minor tweak that you could probably make in your life that will change the game for you. It's not found around a crowd of people. It's found in his shadow. And whenever I posted about this earlier, whenever you got a lot going on, right, and there's so many distractions that are around you, it literally creates a world of havoc for you in private that you can't produce in public. So what you're believing for and what you may know in your heart of hearts to be true about who you are and what you've been called to do, you can't access it because literally your house is out of order. And so before you walk into 2020, pull away and let's rearrange some things so that you can walk into another year of greatness, okay? So shadow talk looks like this for me. Whenever I am in private, literally, and in reflection before the new year begins, I take time to write down and really assess where I am. I'm super brutally honest with myself. I talk about what I said I was going to do that I'm not doing. I talk through really with a few intimate friends about some goals that I may have set and kind of see where I am. I call them purpose partners. But I also assess who's around me. So there's two major things that I've learned. The people that are around you, number one, you want to make sure that they qualify to be in your space in this season of your life. And you want to make sure that, and it's okay, right, to have people that are around you who may be kind of at bay, right? And may not be like in the private space, but those who are in your private space, who are in your ear, who are influencing your level of thought, you want to make sure that they are who they say that they are and that they qualify to be in that space. Let me tell you how dangerous this is. If you're not careful, what will happen is that the people that are around you influencing your level of thought can literally deter or drive you to your destiny. And so the promises that you know are in your heart can be literally deflected by those who are in your ear. So you got to be extremely cautious. There's a lot of great content. There's a lot of good coaches, and there are a lot of great people who have maybe great intentions. But there are only a few, y'all, who qualify to speak to the innermost part of who you are. Get clear on those people. If you're not clear, I would just recommend that you just take a step back, write down the names of the people that are surrounding you in this moment, and then write down how has that exchange been for you this year. For me, it's very helpful and honestly very healthy for me to write down everybody who's surrounding me. Good morning, Lady Shauna. Good to see you, my love. It's honestly very helpful and very healthy for me to write down the names of the people. And I got to figure out, okay, who am I pulling along? And then who am I walking hand in hand with? That's a huge difference. And so it doesn't mean that you have to cut people off. You want to love regardless. But what I found to be true, you all, is that those people who are in your most intimate space, you really need to know who you are, what you have been called to do, and then that they qualify to speak to you in that space. speaking depth here. Because if you can understand why they've been sent to your life, and then they understand why you have been sent, you all are literally a match made in heaven. And so get very clear, okay? There's only gonna be a few people, but those people will help you then to break to the next level. You know, every time that there's been something significant that happened in my life and that created another level of platform, created another level of influence, and created another level of processing for me, happened in private. It was not in public, okay? So take time to back up, get very clear on who's surrounding you in this moment. You may say, well, Brooke, I really don't have that many friends. That's usually a lot of women's sentiments, right? You don't have a lot of friends, and that's okay. You know, but there's always one. There's always one person that God will send your way to encourage you or to literally walk with you to this next step of destiny. There's always one. And if not, pray. He hears you when you pray. So if you're looking for a really good purpose, good morning, Nadia. If you're looking for really good purpose-driven women to surround yourself with, pray. And the more that you do that, I believe that God begins to add those connections to you. And oftentimes what I found is that they're not usually wrapped in the gift wrapping of what we expect. In fact, a lot of the women that are purpose partners for me are very different from me. But I love it because it's the variety that helps me to create and gives me actually a different perspective on life. So number one, y'all, the responsible woman understands the power of shadow talk and that clear directions for your next step are found in private, not in public. Number two, ambitious women are not the same as anxious women. So you may know what you have been called to do and you're like, Brooke, listen, I am ready to go. I'm ready to leave this job. I'm ready to hit, social media really hard. I'm ready to, I don't know what it is that you desire to do in life. But I'm gonna tell you what, don't allow anxiousness to overwhelm your instructions. This is so important. I feel this so in my heart, y'all. So I have had, I'm grateful. I've had a great life, had some hard moments, but by and large, y'all, God has been extremely faithful. And I'm gonna tell you what has been a game-changing tactic for me is not to be anxious in the season that I'm in. I'm actually having some coaching done behind the scenes with a group of women in this season. And one thing I shared with them was this. I said, I'm not interested in getting to this next step of my life prematurely, nor am I interested in getting there delayed, right? I'm not in a rush to get to my next. I want to get there when the time and the fullness of time, when the purpose is right for me to step on the next platform. That's when I want to get there, because every platform requires responsibility. It's not for us to stroke our egos. It's not for us to be validated as we move into the next season of life. It is for an assignment that is much bigger than you and me. And if you're not prepared behind the scenes, if your home is not prepared, if you're married and your marriage is not prepared, if you're a mom and your children are not prepared, you will then step out to get something publicly that you're not ready for privately. And the things that matter the most will implode because you're stepping out prematurely into something that you are drawn to for whatever reason. So check your motives. A responsible woman is one who has pure motivation. And so I know that God is preparing me for something extremely great. I've gotten the prophecies. I've read the promises of God. He has spoken to me in private. I know that I'm called to do some great things in this earth, but y'all, I refuse to step out prematurely trying to make it happen on my own. And in Matthew 6:33, this is so powerful. God says, listen, if there's two things I want you to do, y'all. I want you to seek first my kingdom, and then I want you to pursue living in righteousness. And if you do those two things, I'm going to add exactly what you need. I've experienced that. I've experienced where I have gone. God has literally connected me with the right few people to cause things to literally transform my entire life. It's what happens in those two steps, right? Seeking the kingdom of God first, and then seeking to be in right standing with God. Righteousness to me, y'all, means two things. It is a behavior. It is a posture in the kingdom of God, understanding that the way that you conduct yourself and the way that you live holy before God matters. It's a door of access. But righteousness is also how you believe. This is a key that a lot of people kind of miss. And so I'll prove it to you. When Abraham was walking with God, God said, because you believe me, I'm crediting this to you. Literally, I'm putting this into your account as righteousness. It's because of his belief. And so as you're walking forward, you got to watch where you're doubting. And even if things are not happening overnight for you, you're like, man, Brooke, I feel like I'm just so delayed and I'm so behind. You got to submit that level of doubt to the king and ask him to help you in your unbelief, because that's going to credit righteousness to your account. And what happens is, as you do that, as you continue to seek after the goodness of God's kingdom, it is so real. And as you begin to seek after living a righteous life before him, he will add what you need. You don't have to make this thing happen. God is looking for a few qualified women that he can trust to place in spheres of influence that will cause change in this earth. So it's just a matter. Good morning, Kimmy. It's a matter of what you're believing. And I know some of you at this stage again have maybe had a hard year. You're like, Brooke, you don't understand. No, I do. I've walked through some things in private that I will share very publicly. And I'm telling you that what God will do with a woman who is purely motivated and really has the right intention, it's going to be incredible. So again, allow your ambition to be bridled and just allow God to literally open the door for you. Does that mean that you don't work? Of course not. Whatever he's given you to do, you work it behind the scenes. And so here are 3 steps that I want you to take. Number 1, you're going to write the vision down, whatever it is that he's told you to do. And I shared earlier on a live that I did earlier this year, I said that this year was, at the beginning of this year, was much more challenging, one of the more challenging seasons that I've had to walk through. But what kept me, y'all, was writing down the vision literally every single day. You may think that's foolish, but he uses foolish things, y'all, to confound the wise. I had to keep writing down what I know that I knew, even though it wasn't manifesting yet. And it kept my mind. So whatever it is that you're walking through in this season, write down the promise of God. Don't try and make the promise happen. Just write it down. And the more clearer that vision keeps getting to you, the more that you keep writing it down, I promise you, God is going to give you then, number 2, instructions. And when you receive the instructions, then you act. You don't act on the vision necessarily by itself. You act on the instruction. So you have the vision, and then you wait to hear clear instructions. Remember, we get that whenever we have that private space with God. And what he will do then is he's going to literally tell you, okay, this is what I want you to do next. After you've done that, okay, here's what I want you to do next. And as you simply obey, y'all, he begins to add exactly what you need, but you work it behind the scenes. That proves trustworthiness in a world that is very much after the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. It allows you to be in a space that is very different and very, very potent. And it's going to place you much faster with a lot less effort where you need to be. I guarantee you, if you follow these instructions and what I'm sharing with you, I promise you he's going to add who and what you need. Number 3, the 3rd step, you all, of a responsible woman is understanding the power of her overflow. And so your life's assignment revolves around your gifts. There's many gifts that maybe God has given you, and you're like, I have all these things that I know that I'm really good at, but I don't know how to really execute. And your life is going to revolve around those things. Like, you're on the job that you're on because they recognize your gifting. That's why you're still there. They recognize you have an amazing personality. They recognize that you are a hard worker. They recognize that you are disciplined. They recognize that you have the gift to motivate, right? All these great things. And your life revolves around your gifts. Your friends are usually attracted to your gifts. Your audience is attracted to your gifts. And so my point is this: gifts are steps to get you to the door. But honestly, there is a message in you that will open the door. I hope I can really explain this full circle. There's many gifts that I have, and I'm grateful for the gifts that God has given me. There's nothing, I didn't do anything to earn them. He just gave them to me, right? And he's giving you gifts too. But what happens is, whenever he gives you a gift, the reason he gives it to you is so that it can unlock a door. But when you walk through the door, the only reason that the door will remain open or be sustained is because of who you are and a message that you've been sent to deliver. I hope I can make this so clear to you. So when you overflow with God's goodness, for instance, you may be working on a job and your gift may open the door for you to get the position. But the real reason for you being there is because you have a message from God to deliver to the people who are there. There's always a part 2 to the story. Your gift just opens the door. It's not really who you are. The reason you've been sent is because you have a message to deliver. And so you got to get clear on the message. And the only reason you can get clear on the message is if you have that private talk with God, right? So there's reasons that I've been sent to work with certain people, or, I'm behind the scenes in certain circles. And it's because of a message that I've been sent to deliver. My gifts are great, but they're not really the main reason. And they're going to make room for me to deliver a message. And so here's some benefits of living a life in overflow. Number 1, you live an authentic and a powerful life. So when you experience God for yourself, like I without a shadow of a doubt know that God is extremely real. Like I'm on a journey with him and I love it. And so I'm able to pour from my overflow because I've experienced his love for myself, right? And it's very authentic and it's very genuine, and people resonate with that. And so with you, same thing will happen. As you live from your overflow, people will resonate with your authenticity. You don't have to make this thing happen. As you experience God for yourself, listen, it's going to be like you just want to be able to share and tell others about the same thing. Number 2, it turns your work into a gift. So if you're feeling burdened right now with where you are in your life and where you're working or what you're building, I want you to kind of reset, right? And figure out if you're working. Number 1, if you've obeyed the steps and the instructions he's already given you. If not, go back and do it. But number 2, it'll turn your gift into like the work that you're doing into a gift. And it should be joyful. It should be enjoyable. And if you're not enjoying where you are right now, go back to the vision, make it very plain, keep writing it over and over until he begins to overwhelm you. And as he does that, you then from your overflow will experience a life of joy. That's what this kingdom is. This is not a life of burdensome, and it's not a life of depression and oppression. This is not what this is. God's joy is so real. And he wants to fill you until people are like, what is she so happy about, right? I've had that question before. What's she so happy about? But it really is the joy of the Lord. And I really want that to be all of our experiences, y'all, as we walk into 2020. Gosh, my time is up. I said I'm going to be finished in 20 minutes. That didn't quite happen. Number 3, as you walk in your overflow, you'll see things differently, especially money. Usually, I think in life, there's 2 major things that people battle with, and it's the pursuit of money at the expense of the pursuit of obedience. And so, this is one topic in which I could spend quite a few hours on, because there is this huge pull, right? You're like, okay, but I got to work in order to provide for my family, or I got to work in order to, make ends meet. I completely get it. And I'm not saying don't work, but what I'm saying is trust God in the instruction. Because when you understand that God is who he says he is, and that he is a provider, and he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him, he'll do it. He'll begin to add to your life. I've experienced that this year. It's so funny. My husband and I had a conversation a little bit earlier this week. And he was saying, bro, did you see what God just did? Like he sent back to back to back. And we've had this experience, clients that we didn't even pursue. And it was so timely. But we knew it was because, and it wasn't even, again, by our own accord. He just sent them back to back to back. And thank you, Eunice. I'm telling you. And this is the addition principle I was talking about earlier, that I really, it's so real that God will begin to add what you need when you need it as you do those 2 things. And it's from that overflow that your life will be so overwhelmingly amazing. And your experience with life will be so different that it causes you, I would say, to understand God at a different level. All right. So as you're walking into this next year, and as you're planning for this next year, y'all understand the power of overflow. Overflow can't happen if you're giving from yourself. See, overflow only happens if you have a cup of water and it's only half full. It can't overflow to anyone else. But when you begin to allow God to fill you up, from that overflow, you're able literally to bless the world. So sit in your position, y'all, in private, and I promise you, he'll promote you when it's time in public. Finally, I'm going to just leave this last point here. But that is that the responsible woman understands that it's time to build in her private life first, and that no one else can do this for you. And I know, again, there's a lot of people saying, go for it now, do it. It's your time. Yeah, go now. And I'm like the opposite. I'm saying, wait, but what is it? Is this really the season for that? Right? Make sure that in private that you're prepared again for what you are expecting God to do publicly. And as you do that, you will understand that that private space, and what does that look like? For me, it's going to be just that private time spending, of course, in God's presence, but also making sure that my home is, my relationships and my home are intact. I realize that, and this is one thing that I've had to step back from. So I'm on social media quite a bit, and I'm always, inspiring and motivating and helping women again to understand and uncover their purpose and get clarity on their journeys. But if my kids don't understand their purpose, and if they're not clear on their journeys, I'm out of order. How can I and how dare I encourage everybody else who are online and my kids themselves are completely confused, right? See, I believe that, y'all, we are after this this public persona for whatever reason, and we feel affirmed whenever we are reaching the masses, when the first audience that God has given is right here in your intimate circle. And so I just want you, again, as a responsible woman, to understand that privacy, things that people don't even see, have to be developed first. And as you do that, it's going to qualify you for the public sphere. All right. Nobody's going to build your home for you. And so your responsibility always will be home first. And then from that space, you go ahead and you go out. But it's always home first. And before it can be home first, it has to be you first. And finally, as a woman, a lot of us are completely out of order whenever it comes to caring for ourselves, because we're giving so much. And I think a lot of us were modeled that way, meaning the women who came before us, moms, aunts, grandmas, whoever, they gave so much of themselves to everybody else at the expense of who they were. And so I want to encourage you to kind of change that legacy in your home. Fill yourself. Make sure you are caring for yourself. Love on yourself. Remind yourself of who you are. The same way you're encouraging, especially your children, to say, you can do it. You can be whatever you want to be, right? We tell our kids that, but we really don't believe it for ourselves. And so in this space, as you prepare for whatever that next platform of yours is, make sure you believe it for yourself. That's righteousness. And God will then credit to you what you need. And he'll add every little thing that you need to your life. I believe it. I have experienced it. And I really believe that he wants that experience for you. Over the next couple of weeks, I'll be doing quite a few womanhood talks with a few women that I think will really inspire your heart. I'm not after judging you. I'm not after condemning you. I'm after giving you wisdom on your womanhood journey. I'm not after speaking to your emotions and kind of getting you excited with no wisdom and no principle. I'm after solid, principle-driven lifestyles that create purpose-driven legacies. Okay. And so again, I'm going to ask that you tune in with me. I'll be posting who will be coming up so that you can tune in, and make sure you invite a friend to come and join us on this journey of becoming. At the end of our lives, y'all, I don't want any of us to look back and say, where did my life go, right? Where did the time go? Because we weren't intentional in these years. Right now matters. And what is to be is because of what's happening right now. So let's make sure that we are women of purpose, that we are responsible women, and that we are living a life where womanhood really does feel good. Starting in January, I'll be hosting Womanhood University online. It is a coaching program for 4 weeks, and it will change your life. It is amazing. And I'm not saying that because I've created it, but I'm telling you, the stories of the women who have walked through this Womanhood University for years, you can see the fruit of their lives in their marriages, in their homes, in their purpose pursuits. It's amazing, and it's very different. And I would highly encourage you to consider walking with me. It's $197. Registration will open sometime in November, and then we'll start literally after the new year. So stay tuned for more details in regard to that. And I think you would really enjoy just that time of pure inspiration, but also wisdom on your womanhood journey. All right. Thank you all so much for logging in. I appreciate all the notes down here, and just for your time and attention. Would you do me a favor and maybe tag a few friends who you think would love to hear this message, especially if they're your purpose partners? Make sure that you all are growing together, because I really believe, y'all, that what God is about to do in this earth and what he needs to be done in this earth will happen through me and you, and it will be one of our best years yet. All right? Have a beautiful Friday. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.